Barcelona, we find ourselves in this very place. And today, we get to name that flying machine. So Ben, Jim, plenty to chat about. Let's take a look, though, at why we're all here.
Britain has a renowned maritime history, but one victory has yet to be celebrated. The America's Cup. Now, a new British chapter is being written. A team of innovators, sailors and engineers have come together to take on the ultimate challenge. The America's Cup is a place where innovation and progression meets tradition, and the spirit of exploration and competition comes alive. It starts with an idea, a sketch on a page, but soon becomes something much greater. Years of painstaking design, engineering, and testing lead to the creation of a racing machine. Every fiber, every join, and every sail has been meticulously crafted. The team's focus and determination is unwavering. Driven by the goal of winning the oldest trophy in international sport. Britannia is more than just a sailing vessel. It's a symbol of grit and rigor. It's the embodiment of British engineering, passion, and the relentless pursuit of victory. The 37th America's Cup is more than a race. It's a quest for glory, a chance to create history and create new pathways.
That gets the juices flowing a little, doesn't it, everybody? Gets us all getting a little excited. It is a big day. Today, well, this week marked 100 days till the Cup gets going, which is, you know, squeaky bum time. Today, the last day that the boat's going to be referred to as RB3, Jim. What's she going to be called and why?
Well, I think she's been called RB3 for 1,000 days, actually. Because it is about 3 years, I think, isn't it? But, I mean, I think we all know what she's going to be called, Britannia. And I think, you know, it sort of plays on the heritage of the UK in sailing. I mean, it's, you know, it is a great part of our heritage. And it was, you know, it was a very successful J class, which won over, I think, 200 races. That was King George V, I think, back in the late 1800s. And then, of course, you had Royal Yacht Britannia, so, and it's got Britain in it. And I think it's got a really nice sound, Britannia. I think it's a really great name. Yeah.
Ben, the pressure.
Couldn't find a better one.
Yeah, the pressure of a name, the pressure of living up to a name like Britannia. Is this the boat that can deliver that?
Well, this is the time, isn't it? I mean, it's 170 plus years since Ray started. Bertie's here from the Royal Yacht Squadron. You know, Ray started around the Isle of Wight, and we've never seen it since. So you know, it's about time. So yeah, it's a huge amount of effort's gone into this boat. You know, hundreds of thousands of design, construction, manufacturing, and now, of course, we're getting to the business end of the competition, getting the boat out on the water, and as the sailors and designers working together to really get every ounce of performance out of the boat, and that's really our mission between now and when we start racing early September.
Isn't it something crazy like 160,000 man-hours or something that's gone into Britannia to date?
Well, at least,
and
yeah,
the rest.
and some. So
yeah,
it's a huge effort and huge collaboration with Mercedes Formula One.
Ben and I have put that in between us.
Well, quite. That gin and tonic that's still paying dividends, Jim. Can I ask you why you're doing this again? Your second time as a challenger now.
Because we didn't win it the first time.
I know, but sort of the addiction to the stress of the whole thing, because it has been quite a journey. What is it about this competition that people cannot put down?
Oh, I think it's addictive, isn't it? Because it's got more addictive because it's foiling, I think. Because I think probably when there were displacement boats, it was more for the purists, but the foiling boats, I mean, it's become a very sort of adrenaline type of sport, very exciting sport, and it's very addictive, and yeah, can't let go really.
There's nothing really like it, is there? And when you look at sort of, you know, other sports that are out there and the things that Britain has won, the things that England's won, there's nothing that really comes close to the mysterious nature of the Cup or its sort of uniqueness, which it has in spades.
Yeah, it's sort of almost bizarre, isn't it, as a protocol, you know, that you get a defender and one of the selected challengers get together, you know, in a huddle, and they cook up, you know, a sort of suitable challenge 3 or 4 years out, and then we go off and we go and hire the most expensive engineers and designers that we can find, and then, you know, we launch this boat years later and we've got absolutely no idea what it's going to do when you put it on the water. Whether it's because you've done all this work on a computer and you've no idea whether the computer's got a, you know, this Craig computer, this immense computer. I mean, we've done it all on the Mercedes Formula One computer. It's an immense capacity computer. And yet, until it sails, you've no idea. I keep saying it's the sport with the most jeopardy in it. Of all sports, there's more jeopardy in the America's Cup.
What do you mean by that?
Well, there's more risk, there's more unknowns in... I mean, you know, you spend 1,000 days designing, engineering, building it, and then you put it in the water, hoping that it will accord with what the computer said it will do. But you don't know until you put it in the water and you test it. So that's real jeopardy, because, you know, that's 1,000 days and, you know, an awful lot of money. And then, of course, there's more jeopardy because you don't know what the competitors have done. You know, you can estimate what you think. You know, if you look at what we've done for this America's Cup, we know where we were for the last one, which clearly wasn't good enough. So, and we knew that the Kiwi boat was much quicker than ours. So the very least we have to do is get to as quick as the Kiwi boat was in the last America's Cup. But we know the Kiwi boat will be better than it was in the last America's Cup. So we have to get a boat that will be at that level, but then we have to beat that Kiwi boat, so we need a margin on top of that. And that's what the objective is. That's the design. You know, these very expensive engineers and designers. That's what they've been paid for, really. But you know, the jeopardy is you don't know whether it's worked or not until you get the boat in the water. And we know from the last America's Cup, our boat didn't accord with what the computer said it would do. We had some surprises, and they weren't good surprises. This time, it's going to be different, I think.
I know you love a challenge, but is this the sort of challenge that gives you sleepless nights during the, you know, the next bit as we build up to the Cup itself?
I can't afford sleepless nights. I get too grumpy, and there are too many things going on. So no, I don't suffer that really. I don't think you could cope if you. I'm sure Ben's the same, really. I mean,
he can sleep anyway. He's fine.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
All right, let's move on.
Let's move it on. That's the danger of having a husband and wife up here like this. Just,
No
you know, that's what you call
now.
jeopardy, Jim.
More jeopardy.
Yeah, real jeopardy. Ben, for you, let's move on. Not just a personal challenge. You know, it's a nation expects kind of a challenge. Now, I know you're really good at that because you've done about 85 Olympic campaigns. But what does it feel like to you to sort of wear that as well? Because you're on behalf of the Royal Yacht Squadron, challenger of record. You know, there's lots of components here that make this a nation expects sort of a deal.
Well, look, clearly there are a lot of expectations. You know, Bertie's constantly on my case about, you know, are we going to perform? Jim, John and Andy and the rest of the gang at INEOS. And, you know, all of our partners here are backing us for one reason, and that's to get the job done. So, but nobody wants to succeed more than everyone in this organisation when you look at the amount of effort that they're all putting in, and I've seen this over not just the last 3 years, but the last 10 years, the commitment's incredible, and so there's no lack of motivation, determination from the gang here, both here in Brackley, again, all of our partners in terms of the manufacturing of the different components that go into the boat. So huge team effort, and we're fiercely determined to get the job done.
Can we just break down the team effort bit? Because this time round, it's a 50-50 partnership. It's Marine and it's Formula One. It's Mercedes, Formula One team. How does that manifest itself? How does that change the approach in a campaign like this compared to last time? And how have you sort of navigated that path? Because I imagine it's quite a tricky one to get totally right from the off.
Well, it could be. We're very much one team. Okay, we're Mercedes Formula One, INEOS Britannia, but we're very much one team. That's how we talk about the collaboration. And yes, a lot of work has gone on, great work has gone on in Brackley in terms of the design and engineering, and that has then shifted to previously down in Palma with the sailing operations with T6, our test boat, and then more latterly here to Barcelona. So we rely heavily on communications, good link up between the different sites, and the experience, Formula One, vast experience, different levels of resource, clearly, so trying to match that up between the resource that we have in an America's Cup team, that's been the biggest challenge, but we've come a long way over the last 3 years, and the level of detail that we get from Formula One, both in the design phase, but now in the analysis of this boat as we get it on the water, is being really impressive to see.
Do you think Formula One has changed sailing forever by being part of this campaign cycle? Do you think we're moving in a completely different direction now?
Well, I think the America's Cup in the last 10 years has
Whether
absolutely...
we got a great boat or not.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Good
Anyway,
answer.
sorry.
But no. That's true. But the sport has evolved massively in the last 10 years with the foiling boats, and then Team New Zealand really, I think, setting the standards, and to Jim's point about computer simulation and yacht design has changed immeasurably in that time. And of course, Formula One is at the forefront of that. So yes, it's had a big impact.
Jim, this must be a sort of a perfect collaboration in your mind of what you had in store when you decided to go after a ton of sports teams. The INEOS Sports sort of mantra, pulling these great brains together, elite performers together, and putting them in a room and saying, thrash it out, figure it out, let's go bigger, faster, more marginal gains. Is that what it is?
Well, I think we always had the sort of thought in the back of our mind that if we had a collection of top sports or teams or people that, they cross-fertilise with each other. Formula One and America's Cup is clearly a great example of that, really. Because you look at Formula One, Formula One it's about, if you think about there's 1,000 people in the Formula One team. Here, for the last Cup, we had 150 or something like that, don't we? So it's a big mass of people. But they're looking at carbon fibre structures, they're looking at wings and aerofoils, and they're looking at systems to control the car. And, that's exactly the same as a boat. It's all about wings and aerofoils and carbon structures and control systems. So there's a lot of synergy there, and we tap into this mass of 1,000 people. So why wouldn't you go there, really? And I think it's one of the intriguing things about this particular Cup is what's come out of that relationship, because I think Ben said it's 50-50, isn't it? It's 50% marine people, so designers and engineers from the marine industry, and 50% from the Formula One industry. And those two teams have been melded together. And what's the output? This is the output on the water up there, but we don't really know yet how quick it is. But it's quite exciting to think about where that boat might be when we've got it all finely tuned. Really exciting.
Yeah, and are you getting that sort of feeling from amongst the different teams as well, who are obviously based here in Barcelona as well, that there's plenty to be nervous of with Britannia?
Look, we have the reconnaissance that covers all of the teams, and that's quite entertaining when you know how your day has gone and you read the write-up, and in many cases it's a million miles off the reality. So we expect that that's the same with the other teams as well. So as Jim said, until we actually line up proper with these other teams, you're sort of guessing.
It's all jeopardy.
So I don't think any one of these teams, if you ask them honestly, would say, oh yeah, we're pretty happy, we think we've got this. There's a long way to go between now and when we start competition again. Getting this boat up to the performance that, it's optimised. That's the key.
We shouldn't underestimate as well that it's not just about whether this is a fast boat. Yeah. It's how well we sail it, how Ben and his team sail it. Because I remember in the final in AC76, the Kiwis were quite edgy at the beginning, if you remember, because they hadn't sailed in the qualifiers, so they hadn't had quite the same amount of practice, and they just got better and better through the series, remember, as they got more in tune with the boat. So it's a huge element of it now, is learning to sail this boat really, really well. And I always have this analogy with skateboards or snowboards, is that you get all these people on an identical piece of kit, but some of them are way better than others because they spent a lot more time practicing, they've got better at it. And we shouldn't forget that element with this boat. I think the objective at this point is to provide a platform boat that's really, really quick and has got the capability of winning the Cup. But we now need to learn to sail it really, really well. And that's Ben and his team now, you've got 3 months really, haven't you?
I get the note, he's not going to be home for 3 months. It's all right, Jim, I've
you're not
signed off on
gonna
that.
see
It's absolutely fine. We're fine, we'll just talk about it later.
He sleeps really well, but he's going to be on his own.
Yeah, damn right. Ben, can we just do a shout out for the team as well? Because we have said this has been a crazy busy 2.5 years. You sort of set up a base in Palma and a test boat there, a race boat here in Barcelona and a base here. Pitch poles, fires, all sorts has happened in the last 2.5 years during this campaign. So just a shout out to all the people who are 100% motivated, incentivized to not sort of sleep for the next 3 months and to really deliver in this campaign.
That's right. It's not been dull, that's for sure. And as I said earlier, the team have worked phenomenally hard to get us to this point, and we have had our challenges. We've had battery fires, we've had a capsize and a near sinking. The battery fire, required us to sort of semi-sink the AC40 yacht for a time there. All sorts of challenges, which is inevitable in really taking on this challenge of the America's Cup, and we know the other teams will have had their own share of challenges. But in our case, each one of those setbacks, you've really seen the team come back stronger and learn from that. And I think that's always a mark of a really strong team when they have something goes wrong, you get a setback, but actually rather than everyone sort of running for the hills and blaming one another, how do we sort this out and really dig our heels in and fight to come back stronger. And we've seen that with this organisation, and credit to them. And we're going to need that. My God, we're going to need that over the next 5 months if we're going to get to the top.
Can we talk about the boat itself? Because if you see Britannia now out on the water, you'll spot 2 steering wheels and lots of cyclists. What's going on?
Yeah, bit of a change. I mean, there were 2 steering wheels in the last Cup, but we now have two helms, and we have, instead of 11 crew, we have 8. And instead of grinders providing the power for all of the aero functions on the yacht, we're using leg power. So we've got cyclors, or the union, as we've likened to, because we get plenty of feedback when we're sailing this yacht just about how hard the cyclors are working. So no, it's a real challenge. It is a real challenge from a sailing perspective. To sail these boats fast, you have to be on a knife edge. And so it requires a huge amount of effort from the cyclors, from the trimmers, from the helms, everyone really coming together. And then when you put it on the racetrack, the communication's got to be absolutely spotless, because you've got your split helms, so every manoeuvre, everyone on the boat needs to be certain what's happening when, and just making sure that's absolutely bang on. So Cup is a huge team effort on and off the water.
You can't get into an F1 car, Jim, but you can get onto Britannia, which is what you're going to do later.
Star signing.
Star signing. You're going to become a cyclor.
Union boss.
My mission is to lower the carbon footprint of the boat by using less power.
By not going so far. I spoke to Freddie about it earlier, and he thought there was going to be about 10 knots of breeze, so thought you might get up to around about 50 knots.
50 knots?
Yes.
You didn't tell me that.
Just sort of, how are you feeling about that? It must be, I know you love a little bit of excitement and the thrill of a challenge, but, how does that sort of feel?
But the thing is, you set off in a coffin, don't you? I'm going to be in a coffin. So, I'll sort of be in the right frame of mind, I think. Oh, it'd be very exciting.
He's got all the kit. He's ready to go.
I've got all the kit.
We checked his locker.
Crap.
Yeah, he's all right.
Just want to speak to you about the point about continuity. So we've been there before with the Cup. We're going again. How important is it to sort of create this continuity, this thread of great people all being in it together and learning, and then being able to take that learning and use it, hopefully, for the good?
Well, it's like any other sport or team or business. It takes time. If you look at Kiwis, first competed in the America's Cup in '87, and they've competed pretty much in every cup since. And okay, the people may have changed over that time, but the organisation, Team New Zealand, has developed over that period. Luna Rosa, been in the America's Cup game for 30 years. So it's important to keep developing, to have the continuity, to keep developing. We talked about design tools, for example. If you constantly stop-start and then switch to a different set of tools, you're not constantly fine-tuning those tools, as an example, then it gets harder and harder. So, you know, this organisation, if you like, we've been going for 10 years now. This is our 3rd campaign. So we're getting each cycle, we're getting more efficient. Our tools are getting more precise. The people in the organisation are getting more experienced, and so that's you just got to keep that ball rolling and keep learning and developing.
We're going to head down in a moment for the key part of this morning, and Jim, rather wonderfully, we're going to have Julia, your daughter, and Catherine, your lovely partner. Catherine's daughter, Romaine, as well. We're going to do the honours, which will be really special. It's sort of the start of something very exciting, isn't it, now?
Yeah, it is properly exciting to see the boat in the water now. I still haven't seen the boat, but yeah, it's properly exciting now. Yeah, I can't wait.
Just before we do that then, we're going to get Bertie Biet up here, who's a man of many words, but I'm going to ask him for a few. Not many, a few, Bert, because I know he wanted to say something on behalf of the Royal Yacht Squadron.
Look, the race for the America's Cup nearly always ends up as a race against time, and you've actually got 2,302 hours. I wrote that on my hand, by the way. I didn't just.
Very good. Well done.
But just to take a minute to go back maybe in time a little bit, because the history is important, and history predicts what's going to happen in the future. So we go back to 1851, where it all started, where the then Commodore of our yacht club, the Earl of Wilton, put out a challenge to our friends at the New York Yacht Club to come and race around the Isle of Wight. We wanted it to be fair, so we actually entered 4 boats. There were actually 18 in total, but only 15 finished. The boat from the New York Yacht Club, the America, maybe didn't sail the right course. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. Interpretation of the rules. Nothing changes. On the way back, up through the Solent, that boat was so quick in the light airs that everyone thought there was something wrong with it. It must be cheating. And quite bizarre when people say the America's Cup of today is so different to before. I don't believe so at all. Because the following day, actually the Marquis of Anglesey put out a statement saying he thought that the Americans were cheating. And he came up with this harebrained scheme that they had a number of crew buried deep below the deck with some contraptions which looked like bicycles, which they were using to propel the boat forwards without just using the wind. They were cheats. I hope someone's taking notes, by the way.
They've been around for a long time, haven't they?
So nothing changes. They won the cup. That was it. It left, and it's not come back. For us, Jim, Andy, John, I really want to express our real thanks and appreciation. It's very easy to forget that none of us would be here, none of this would be happening. This for the Royal Yacht Squadron, 3rd consecutive America's Cup Challenge. The last 2 so fantastically supported by INEOS, and we're really proud to have such a great team, such great backers representing us in what would be a really historical moment.
Yeah, sure.
So I just wanted to say a huge thank you to you and make a very small presentation.
Oh, well.
Thanks so much.
Bertie, I said a few words, not many words. It was a good story, though, wasn't it? It was a good story.
It was, yeah.
So the ceremony is about to get underway. So I'm going to hand you down to Freddie Carr, who is somewhere down there, who is with a bunch of people climbing on top of each other, I do believe. Fred, can you hear me?
Another 5 minutes, because Bertie got going, so I thought I could have a cuppa, but it's actually quite short there, to be fair. So, yeah, welcome down. The big news down on the dock is it stopped raining. We had a good bit of traditional British weather, a bit of light drizzle, which for me seemed quite apt for a British boat christening, but the sunshine is out. The other bit of news down here is that I've been overthrown as the Cyclor Union boss. The cyclers over here are pretty happy about that. And we have a new leader in Jim. So I think my work here is done. And yeah, the lads are over the moon that I'm not going to be bossing them around anymore. And in the background, we can see here RB3 at the moment, but soon to be Chris and Britannia, looking absolutely resplendent, dressed overall, ready for her big moment in a few moments' time. And we're going to have a little walk around the dock, and we're going to see the key people, meet some key people. Rob, just spin round here. We're adding a little bit of Spanish flavour to the afternoon, and we'll get onto that in a short moment. But yeah, there's going to be some fun and games going up on the hard. Right, let's get chatting to some key people. Lloyd Millen, now let me get this right, because this is quite some title. You're the British Consul General here in Barcelona. Welcome.
I am, thank you. Great to be here.
And you've been with us before with the great campaign, and we've spoken about an event like the America's Cup, as it was with the Barcelona Olympics in '92, and what an impact that can have on a city like Barcelona. Do you get kind of similar vibes that this is going to be a huge event this summer?
You do, and you can see just from here in the port the transformation that the America's Cup has brought to the port of Barcelona, and has brought Barcelona closer to the sea, which might sound strange, but it really has. It's really made a difference.
Yeah, because there's that famous old Spanish saying that pre-92, Barcelona was traditionally a city that had its back to the sea, and I couldn't think of a better city in Europe to come down and celebrate the ocean and come down and watch the racing here this summer.
No, it's amazing. And to see that you can, for the spectators who are going to come here this year, the view they're going to have of the racing is just absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And the last few days sailing out there with Alinghi and American Magic yachting around, it's quite some spectacle already, and that's just going to ramp and ramp. And I've got to ask you, you know Barcelona inside out. For our fans that are going to come down here this summer, obviously going to come and join us and cheer on us. But what else should they be looking to do in Barcelona?
First thing, go and see the America's Cup experience. It gives you a really good history of what the race is all about, and you'll understand what you're going to see much more. And then there's an amazing cultural offer in this city.
Yeah.
Things that people wouldn't necessarily. Everyone knows about Gaudi. Everyone knows about the centre of Barcelona. But check out some of the barrios around around Barcelona and the cities, and it's an amazing place. Loads to see.
It's an unbelievable place. Lloyd, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank
I
you.
know that we'll see a lot of you over the course of the summer.
Thank you very much.
And I'll ask you to pass the microphone on to Jeff. Jeff Willis, Chief Technical Director with a motorsport background. And we just listened to Georgie and Ben and Jim there talk about the influence of F1. You've come over from F1 and run our technical program. How's that been? There are a lot of comparisons.
There's a huge overlap between Formula One and the Cup, particularly with this modern generation of foiling monohulls. The engineering, the structural engineering, the hydrodynamic engineering, aerodynamic engineering. It's actually probably one of those pairs of sports that are more close to each other than any other pair I can think of.
And you're used to rolling out a Formula One car every year with the rules set in stone, and there's that continued development. How does it feel, this kind of one shot, once every 4 years kind of world that we're in?
It's been really interesting. So cast my mind back now, it's just over 3 years since we had the first discussions with INEOS about a really integrated joint program between Mercedes and INEOS. And that time's just flown by. I can think 2.5 years ago, thinking about our test boat program, and then rushing into that, building this team with these two different cultures and these two different worlds, and bringing them together. And it's just been sort of relentless. It's like running downhill, but it's getting steeper every month. And now the end's really in sight. This has become really real, very exciting.
And I think we've got more and more of that to come as we ramp up. I think 96 days to the racing, so a few sleepless nights for all of us, I'd have thought.
Yeah. The most important thing, as Sir Jim mentioned earlier, is understanding what your target is, setting that target properly, and then measuring yourself against that target. And we're on a good way on that trajectory, but now this last phase on the water is super critical to make sure we can extract all of that potential performance.
Perfect. Thank you, Jeff, and I'll see you in our sailing team briefing in about an hour. Right, let's go and see what's going on here. Ryan Todd-Hunter, take a microphone. Ryan Todd-Hunter, one of our cyclors, transitioned out of rowing,
out of rowing,
into cycling, and you're facing the right way in the boat.
Yeah,
you're not looking out the back.
That's why I came.
Yeah, okay, so you're actually looking where you're going.
Yeah, very different. Well, not quite, kind of
right.
the cockpit floor.
Rob, follow me. There's plenty going on up here, chap.
Heaps going on.
Goodness.
Hey, there we go.
What is going on?
I think he's handing over the champagne bottle, maybe.
So there is our bottle of Ney Timbar that has been passed over by the Castellers. to our godmothers of the boat that are going to go down very soon, Julia and Roman, who are going to go down very soon and spray the nay timber on the boat. I've briefed the girls up very importantly that this isn't a Formula One spray into the crowd, it's very much a spray onto the boat. So there you go. They've received the nay timber, and I believe in the next few minutes, this tower is going to get fairly colossal. I think the world record is 8 stages high.
Wow, that's huge.
Yeah, pretty huge. I'm not sure if we're going to set a world record today, but I'm certainly pretty excited to see what goes on. And Ryan, I know what you're excited about. The fish and chip van in the background.
I've been gagging for that since I got here.
Well, we have got a sailing day after the launch, so we've got to fuel appropriately. And for me, it feels like fish and chips could well be the way to go.
So. That's probably the scientific one.
Right, well, you get stuck into that, lad. I'm going to go and find Giles Scott somewhere. Where is he? Giles is hiding. Hey, Giles Scott, with baby Margot. Look at this. Come on over. What's she got there, buddy?
Just a little, you know,
that looks
little
like
bit of a distraction for her.
That looks like the kind of toy that would keep me entertained for hours.
Yeah, it would. It really would.
So a little bit's changed from 2021 when we last had a chat on the dock on a boat launch. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Nice work,
yeah,
mate.
family
And
man now.
top work.
Yeah.
Buddy, you've sailed RB1, RB2.
Yeah.
You've now sailed RB3. We've done 10 days in RB3. Tell people how it compares to those early iterations of an AC75.
Well, I mean, I think it's a monumental step on from where we began with RB1, that's for sure. I think, you know, over the course of the last campaign, we've obviously seen 2 more yachts that came before RB3 in this config. And performance-wise, you know, RB3 is a huge, huge leap on. And I think it's something that we'll see from every team. I mean, every team, as Ben alluded to upstairs there, you know, everyone's going to be strong, and these boats are rapid, and, you know, we need to be ready to race hard, and hopefully we've got a good boat to do so.
So we're having a lovely day here. We're going to christen the boat, but it's also a testing day. What's on the test list? Does it involve a lot of cycling for me?
Yeah, it does.
Oh, well.
It does. It always involves a lot of cycling for you boys. Yeah. So we've obviously got this amazing morning and lunch here, but this afternoon we're straight back into it, and we've got a test list to get through. Time is always against us, and it's, you know, as soon as we get out there on the water, it's we operate as normal, and we've got a list to get through.
Yeah, well, I think we're off the dock at 2 o'clock with a sailing briefing at 1. Like
Yeah.
I said, we're very excited to have this day, but we're 96 days away from the cannon getting fired and shooting us off on the start line, and it's a used often Gilo, but an incremental gains kind of world we're in now.
Yeah, it is. I think, you know, every day we go out, we want to make little steps that ultimately make the boat faster. And, you know, those gains aren't just out on the water. It's when the boat's in the shed. Yeah. It's been going on for months and years before now in the design world. So, yeah, you know, nothing changes, and we always want it faster.
All right, mate. Well, thank you very much for that. Maybe let's not do race laps today. Long, straight lines for me on the bike would be lovely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good job you don't make the call there, eh?
Yeah, it's a good job. Right. Everyone seems to be hedging this way a bit, Rob, and I've spotted Lee. There's Lee McMillan. Come on, mate. Come and take the mic. We're gonna hedge this way,
down
Lee.
now.
Get the camera down. No, you're all right. We're about the same height. We're gonna wiggle our way through the crowd, chap. Lee, you are a trimmer pilot on this boat. You were a foil trimmer in our last boat. How do these foils compare? You're also kind of our lead sailing link with the design team. Are you happy with your foils?
Yeah, absolutely. We've obviously learned a lot in the last Cup, and I think if you put an image of these ones next to what we raced in the last America's Cup, you know, there's huge differences there. We've moved the game on massively, and it's been so good to get it on the water and actually get a feel for it, and it's really encouraging, everything we've seen so far.
Yeah.
And what's amazing is how much we've learned already, having put these on the water, and knowing what improvements we can make along the way. So the momentum's building up, and that's absolutely amazing. And just to, you know, get our hands on this boat and get it going.
And a real basic question, is this boat harder or easier to fly? Like, do you get like a certain feel for a style of foil?
It's pretty similar. I think obviously the conditions here in Barcelona are quite different. So we have some days that are more challenging, but I think the experience that we already had on T6 and from the last America's Cup have meant that we've been able to jump on the boat and very quickly start in a strong position. So the learning curve is just going to really ramp up over the next couple of months, but we're in a really good starting point now.
Oh, very good. Right, I've just spotted another person I want to talk to, Xavi Fernandez. Super coach Xavi Fernandez, you're going to take the mic and we're going to walk down the dock. Come on. This is going to be a test of Rob's skills here to see if we can battle through the crowd. Rob, Xavi, I was just asking Giles about the test list for today. Like, we're early on, we've just finished our commissioning phase with the boat and we're now getting into hot laps. Is that the kind of flavour for the next sort of couple of weeks?
Yeah, I guess so, yeah. We need to start ramping up the learnings and and today I think we will try to sail, as best as we can, as much as we can.
And we're kind of looking at, obviously, we're going to be racing right in front of the W Hotel on a course that's super close to the shore. So our days look a little bit like going out and doing speed runs and trying to extract the perfect amount of speed out the boat. But we've got to be mindful that we're going to be racing on a really tight stadium race course, right? So we have to pick the moment to come and do boat handling.
Yeah, well, boat handling in this kind of boats is key. It's as important as the speed, because in a race it's not that long that you spend 100% of the performance. You're always tacking and jiving, accelerating. So, yeah, big part of it.
Big part of it. Well, I quite enjoy the early part of the day, to be honest, when we go straight line and super fast.
I know.
Gets a little bit heart ratey for me, to be honest, when we start throwing it around the corner. Robbie, you're still with me? There he is. Right, and we talk about thank you, Xavi. We talk about the America's Cup family quite often, like just how big it is. We got a big team here in Barcelona. We got a big team here in Brackley. But as you can see, as we walk through the crowd, you can see it's not just the sort of 180 people that work for INEOS Britannia. If you pan around, Rob, you can just sort of see how much this means to the whole sort of INEOS Britannia community. And there's a real wave of excitement today as we get ready to change RB3's name into Britannia. So at this point in time, we'll throw over to the official naming ceremony.
Hopefully this is working. Thanks a lot, Freddie. Just wanted to welcome everyone on this huge day for the team to launch this amazingly beautiful yacht behind me. We talked about how much effort has gone into this boat. Years and years and years of intense design, engineering, manufacture. And I just wanted to say a huge thank you to everyone in the organization, all the families as well who are here today. Thank you for your support. We know how much that's needed in these instances when people are working as hard as you need to in this game. So thanks for being with us today. Jim, John, Andy, the team at INEOS, we wouldn't be here without you and your support. So thanks as always for not just the corporate support, but as much as anything, the passion that you show for this project and the support that you've given along the way. It means a huge amount to all of us, and to have you here today supporting the team. To all of our other suppliers and partners, again, we wouldn't be here without you. So thank you so much for all of that effort. When we talk about the design that's gone into this boat, the collaboration with Mercedes Formula One team has been immense. So to everyone who's not able to be with us here today in Brackley or wherever you are around the world, big race coming up this weekend in Imola. Thank you for what's been an incredible journey, and we know just how much effort you put into this. Jason Carrington and his team from Carrington Boats built this boat for us in Hive in Southampton. Big thanks to you and your team. Third time lucky with this organisation and you building these amazing boats for us. So thanks, Jason. And all of the other suppliers and partners of the components that have gone into this boat, both in the UK and around the world. Thanks for all the support. So it's a big moment for the team. We're really looking forward to getting out there and getting out on the race course. We're representing the Royal Yacht Squadron. Thank you, Bertie Biet and Royal Yacht Squadron, for all of your support. And great to have Jordi Puig here from Barcelona Yacht Club as well. Thanks for being here supporting the team, and we really appreciate the collaboration. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Jim, our star cyclor, new signing for the team. I'm not sure if we've figured out a salary yet, Jim, but we'll work on that later. But Jim, what do you got to say?
My objective in cycling this afternoon is to reduce the carbon footprint of the boat by using less power. But, anyway, welcome everybody. I think just a couple of words. There's nothing quite like the America's Cup as a sporting challenge, and it's unique. Some might say it's bizarre, really, in the modern world, because it stretches back, nearly 200 years now. It's nearly we're heading towards 2 centuries. I think this competition's been kicking around, and it all begins when the defender and one of the selected challengers, they get together in a huddle and they cook up, a challenge sort of several years out, which is clearly what's happened on this occasion, and then we all run off and we all hire the world's best designers and engineers at great expense, and then 3 years later, this huge amount of computing power that we use to design these boats produces a boat which we put in the water, but we've no idea whether the boat actually does all the things that the computer over those 3 years has said it will do, and we're at exactly that point now, really. It's 3 years, it's 1,000 days of work by a very dedicated team of people, and it's interesting on this occasion, which is also intriguing, that it's been a sort of 50-50 combination of marine designers and engineers and Formula One designers and engineers. And of course that Formula One team that we tap into has 1,000 engineers and designers, so it's really intriguing to see what the combination of those two sets of competencies has produced, which is behind us here. Yeah, but we don't really know yet how it will. I think Ben's got more of a smile on his face than a grimace at the moment, but we don't truly know how fast this boat's going to be. But I've always said about the America's Cup, it's the sport with the most jeopardy in it, and this is real jeopardy here. We've got this massive Cray computer that's designed this boat, but we don't know whether the boat's going to do what the computer said it will do. And then, of course, there's more jeopardy, because even if it does what the computer said it would do, and if it does, that would be very exciting for this team. We don't know what the other teams have done, of course, until we actually match up against them. So very exciting day, really, all round. And I'm going to hand it over to the girls now, I think.
Yep, thanks, Jim. So we've got Julia, Jim's daughter, and Roman, Catherine's daughter, going to do the honours for us, ladies. So let's get ourselves set up here.
I named this boat Britannia.
God bless Britannia and all who sail on her.
Well done, ladies. You absolutely nailed that. That's the best launching we've ever had. So here bodes well for the next 4 or 5 months. Thank you so much, everybody. That's a great moment for the team.
Okay, so that's it. RB3 officially renamed as Britannia, Fred.
Absolutely, Britannia. We love that name, Georgie.
So off we go. 96 days and counting, right?
96 days to our biggest sporting challenge, and we're ready to go.
The challenge is on. We hope you join us along the way. Thanks very much. Goodbye.